Hi, fourth grade. Miss Chickatelli here. So, this is one of my very favorite projects that I've done in the last couple of years. And unfortunately, since we are all stuck at home, I figured out a way to create these digitally. And if we go back to school, then we can finish them up in as a 3D piece. Now, we're going to learn about the artist Space Invader. Space Invader is a street artist, meaning he does the majority of his work outside and on the street. We're going to talk a bit about what that means for him as being an artist as far as legality, where some of the times that he's doing things that are not exactly legal, and there's a lot of things that he's doing that are legal, and it's commissioned, meaning people, the buildings are the ones that are calling him to come do this work. Okay, first thing we're going to see is a video. He is wearing a mask, so don't get scared. The reason why he's wearing a mask is because what he does, like I said, is not legal. People don't know what he looks like on purpose so that he doesn't get caught doing what he's doing. Although those things are not right, the work that he creates is really, really great. So sit back, take a look at this video, and then we'll chat a little bit more.
The name of the game is Space Invaders, and I'm invading space, public space. Then it was very logical, and for almost 10 years now, I'm invading the planet with Space Invaders characters that I put on walls all around the world.
If I rule the earth, if I rule the earth.
If there was not artists like me to make things in the street, there would be only advertising everywhere. And advertising is just kind of Big Brother, it's not to make people happy or to show nice pictures, just to make you spend your money and to make you buy. And, I think it's a chance. That's why I think I'm not a vendor or what I'm doing is good for the population. It's because it's an alternative to the advertising.
So that video was taken from a movie called Bomb It, and it was a documentary about graffiti and street artists. So after watching that video, um, comparing Space Invader to other graffiti artists who are doing things that are illegal on the street, Space Invader believes that what he's doing is beautifying the streets and taking away from all the advertising. So he's not scribbling on people's property, and he really takes time to figure out where he's going to be putting his pieces. So let's learn a little bit about him. Invader is the pseudonym of a French urban artist who was born in 1969, whose work is modeled on the crude pixelation of 1970s and 1980s 8-bit video games. So I'm sure if your parents are watching this with you, you guys all know what those 8-bit video games where I had Atari and played Atari Space Invader game at my grandparents' house every weekend. So he took his name from that game, the 1978 arcade game, Space Invaders, and much of his work is composed of these square ceramic tiles inspired by video game characters. He went to art school in Paris, in France, and in this project, which he's been doing for the majority of his career, his idea is to bring the virtual world into reality. One can see many things in it, but it refers to the early days of digital and video game. He sees himself as a hacker of public space, spreading a virus of mosaic. Mosaic is something that you put together with little pieces of things, and you kind of collage the materials to make it look like a bigger picture. The streets are his canvas, his invasion's gifts to the city and its people. He believes that museums and galleries are not accessible to everyone, which is very true. So he deliberately makes his works public by installing them at the street level. And although he prefers to remain incognito and he guards his identity carefully. He on purpose because, like I said, again, although he thinks that what he's doing is beautifying, and a lot of people do as well, what he's doing is not really 100% legal. You can't just walk up to a wall that's owned by even just the city or wherever it is that you're putting it and put your own artwork up. It's just not something that we're allowed to do. So he has to guard his identity carefully, otherwise people would know who he was. His distinctive creations can be seen in many highly visible locations in more than 65 cities in 33 countries. I had made this PowerPoint a couple years ago, so I'm pretty sure that those numbers have grown since then. Here are all of the countries in which that he has put his Space Invader projects in. There's even a space station in space that he has one of his artworks. So the sites for his mosaics are not random. They're scouted out and carefully researched with often local support, and are also chosen for visibility or strategically placed. So basically, he goes out and he scopes out the areas in which he wants to create this artwork and what will bring to life. So something like this bare wall, he chose to put these Pac-Man monsters. Why? Why do you think? Take a look at the woman passing by. I want you to think about that when we look at all of his artwork. He chooses locations that are less noticeable, and says that he's quoted saying, "A spot is like a revelation, it jumps out at you." So again, a mosaic is a picture or pattern produced by arranging together small colored pieces of hard material such as stone, tile, or glass.
Paris is under invasion from some familiar looking aliens. Both futuristic and retro, these UFOs are straight out of the early video game and cult icon Space Invaders. The French street artist Invader named himself after the game, and for 15 years he's been running his own art project which has seen these creatures springing up in cities all over the world. Now he's about to complete his 1000th Space Invader in Paris, which is holding a retrospective to mark the occasion.
Why Space Invaders? It's true, you could read a lot into it, but for me it represents the first steps of digital, the first video games, from which everything else followed. Computers, the internet.
In this exhibition, the Space Invaders are everywhere, on fridges, at discos, even on your shoes. There's photos of all of them, from the first to land in 1996 down to the last, which is still being finished just a few hours before the exhibition opens. It's an unusual body of work, even among other street artists.
I didn't come from graffiti, so I'm not a graffiti artist. I've always defined myself as someone who invades. Above all, of course, I see myself as an artist.
With the 1000th Space Invader finished, Invader himself is now moving on. His new project also draws on a retro pop culture classic. These works are all created using a Rubik's Cube. He calls the style Rubik's Cubism.
It's really an icon of my generation. Everyone who grew up in the 80s had one of these in their hands, and I actually find myself doing the Rubik's Cube for hours in my workshop, just like a painter mixing up new colours.
With a retrospective on in Paris and a promising new direction to explore, Invader is hoping he can take his place among the big names of street art like Britain's Banksy. And with his UFOs already invading more respectable galleries, he may not have long to wait.
Okay, so I thought you guys would find that video really awesome, because I know that a lot of you guys are totally into Rubik's Cube. So he uses ceramic tiles, of course, like the ones shown here in that little red character. Those are probably about the size as the ones that are in like a bathroom. And then he uses really, really teeny ones like in a Rubik's Cube. So think about, when I'm showing you some of these artworks, think about why he would position these artworks in this spot. Although many of his works feature the signature aliens, no two pieces are alike. The subject matter may also be themed and adapted to their context. So like you saw in the Rubik's Cube, there was almost like a tribute to different types of pop artists. You saw some Roy Lichtenstein in there. There's another street artist who does the Obey artwork. That one you saw in there. So he has different themes, but the majority of the time you're going to see these little alien characters. He does stray like the Mario and the Strawberry and Pac-Man, but the majority of them are these alien creatures. Here's some more to show you an example. These are some that are specifically in New York. And of course, we know who this guy is, right? Okay, so I'm going to show you one more video, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to do this electronically. As you can see, Space Invader has a very large collection of masks.
Okay, my name is Invader. My mission is to invade the planet with video games characters made with tiles that I put on walls of big cities all around the world. I'm in 40 different cities, I would say maybe 30 different countries. But when I go and invade a new city, I don't go and just put 2 or 3 pieces in the center town. It's like a mission. I really stay at least 2-3 weeks in the cities, and I try to spread the invasion all around the cities. My style is to play with pixel aesthetic, and I use tiles because it's a perfect material to be put outside. It is very permanent. It is made to be put outside.
All right, 4th grade. So here is your challenge. You're going to design a video game character. This could be something that you have made up in your head, and this could be something that already exists. You could use a video game character that you really love already, or you can make one up. So I decided that I was going to choose a star from Mario Brothers and then make it my own by changing up the colors. What you're going to be doing is using Google Docs to fill in these little squares, these little pixelated squares. So what I would like you to do first before you start this is to sketch a little design of whatever character it is that you want to do. And then you can go ahead and try to figure out how to make it pixelated and fit into this shape. All right, so there's a few ways you can go about doing this. As a first draft, if you have a printer, I suggest you printing this out and coloring it in using crayons or markers, however which way that you would want your character to look, so that you can follow that when you're doing it digitally. If you don't have a printer, you could just draw out the boxes yourself on a piece of paper. You'd have to put 18 lines up and down, 18 lines across, and that's going to give you 17 boxes. Then color it in, and then you can do it digitally. Okay, so let's get started. The way you do this is you click on the box that you want to fill in, you click the fill color or the paint bucket, and then you select the color that you want to fill that box. Again, so you hit the box that you want, you click the fill or the paint bucket and the color you like. Now, if you've made a mistake, you can go to Edit and Undo. You can do that backwards about 20 mistakes. Now, let's fill these back in. Okay, so here is a trick if you've made a mistake on multiple of them. You select one, and then you hold down Shift and select the second one, third one, fourth one, however many that you want to do. Once you've gotten that done, you're going to go to your paint bucket, and then you're going to hit Transparent. That's going to turn everything back to the beginning. Okay, a few other things. Don't move these boxes. Don't drag them. I'm going to go hit back Undo because it will move out. And don't delete them either. If you hit backspace, they disappear. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to start on my first line. You're going to work your way down each line from left to right. So I'm going to select the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'm going to hold Shift down, and I'm going to select 8 from the left, And that's going to give me part of my background. So I want you to make, this is why I wanted you guys to draw this out first. So all you have to do from here is just copy what you have written down on your paper. So the next one I'm going to select is black. And then again, the last of them are going to all be gray. So I'm going to select the first one, hold shift, select the rest, go to the paint bucket, hit my color. And then now I'm going to go to the second line. Okay, so you're going to do this all the way through. You're going to pay attention counting the boxes from your sketch, and you're going to put them into this digital form. If you need any help doing this, I have also put on the side of your Google Docs, you'll see something that says notes. That's going to show you all of the different things that I just told you here so you don't forget them. A little bit of tools that you can use. And that is really all it is. I'm going to speed this up here so that you can see my finished product. But all it is selecting these squares and filling them with color. So once you've gotten everything down to the bottom, this is going to automatically upload in your Google Classroom. It's going to, because Google Docs automatically saves. But what I need you to do is turn in to let me know that you finished it. All right, and there you have it, making pixel art in Google Docs. What do you guys think? All right, so don't forget to hit that turn in so that I can see your work. You have until April 22nd to finish this because next week is technically our quote-unquote spring break. We're going to be doing some different types of activities during that week. So take your time to do this. I know it's a lot, but take your time and really think it through. And please, please, please make sure that you sketch or draw something before getting started on this. It's going to make your life a lot easier. Again, if you don't have a printer to print out the blank grid to start with, you can make a grid on a piece of paper using 18 lines up and down and then 18 lines across. If you need help with that, you might have to ask your parents, but it doesn't need to be super neat, just so that you have something to follow. Have fun with this. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with.